The sound wasn't a rap. It was a solid, heavy impact, as if an individual sought to breach my entry with a ramming device fueled by ill will and matching outerwear. My cup of coffee literally leaped on the countertop. I recall considering it's either a tactical unit or somebody is here to protest my letterbox shade once more. Upon swinging the door open, the situation clarified. The complete HOA committee was present. Identical coats, identical notepads, identical self-satisfied expressions. They also had reinforcement, a pair of men in dark shirts and utility trousers who seemed like they moonlighted as security personnel at a shopping center food hall on weekends. Yet, preceding my query about the specific infraction, a sound emerged from my rear, deep, steady, and deadly. Your attention will be directed to me. They stopped cold. A security man genuinely fumbled his writing utensil. Advancing from the corridor, still attired in combat handwear and reflective sunglasses, was Grant. He is my son's dedicated attendant. Formerly Special Operations. Constructed like a mobile fortification. Silent as a phantom, perilous as a tempest. You understand, purchasing this residence in Whispering Ridge was meant to secure tranquility. I was retired following 30 years in government acquisitions, much of which involved untangling military agreements so complex they might asphyxiate legislators. I only desired a rear lawn suitably large for my canine, and a front veranda for chess matches with my boy. My son, Daniel, resided with me following an event the Pentagon formally labeled a non-standard injury occurrence. He has titanium in his vertebrae, markings in areas that won't ever completely mend. Rest was a gamble almost every evening, yet he never griped. I, however, did vociferously at the VA to each indifferent physician and to anybody who regarded his suffering as a bother. In time, we established a routine. Mornings involved rehabilitation, afternoons chess, and Sundays barbecued ribs. It was serene, it was restorative, and I'd have sacrificed everything to safeguard it. This was the reason for hiring Grant. Officially, his title was recovery aide. In practice, suffice it to say, his movement suggested he could secure a structure without eyesight. The HOA, naturally, detested this, not even slightly. Initially, the issues were minor. Small notes affixed to our entry, resembling affectionate messages from minor despots. Lawn height surpasses permissible levels, despite my mower having genuinely failed just that week. Letterbox pigment fails to meet beautification guidelines, as if a flat black finish endangered the nation's ideals. I dismissed it, repainting the blasted object in neutral tan. Then the major issue arrived. Immediate, disassemble all unauthorized hurricane coverings. Understand, these coverings had endured Category 4 gales unflinchingly. They were FEMA-endorsed. My insurer's agent had mailed me a note of appreciation. However, Brenda Halloway, the HOA chairwoman, defined by her necklaces and indirect hostility, determined they appeared overly tactical. This prompted my invitation for coffee, imagining a rational, mature discussion. She arrived accompanied by 2 notepad-wielding minions, inspected my land as if it were hostile ground, and declared, "Appearances are important." "Appearances won't prevent storm-flung objects from breaking glass," I retorted. She offered that taut, chemically induced grin and replied, "Regulations are regulations." 7 days passed, a $250 penalty, no prior notice. Following that, the true explosive, unsanctioned co-residency. Files show a non-relative adult male inhabits your property, contravening Whispering Ridge single-family occupancy stipulation. I nearly ejected my beverage. Their reference was Grant. I telephoned their management, reaching a cheerful assistant named Lisa, who brightly informed me that covers renters, helpers, or any non-family visitors exceeding 30 days. He is a certified caretaker, protected by federal exemption statutes. I stated, "This is legally shielded." "Ah, yes, you must submit that documentation formally at the upcoming committee gathering." I disconnected. No yelling, just quiet. The type of quiet that hangs dense, like the atmosphere preceding a storm. It was then I understood. This wasn't related to grass length, letterbox color, or storm coverings. This concerned authority, Concern dominance. Concerning a committee that viewed a tranquil home containing a wounded veteran and a colossal protector as a simple mark. They were ignorant of my identity, ignorant of the bureaucratic mazes I created to entomb officials during my career, ignorant that Grant had previously resolved a hostage crisis armed only with a timepiece and a metal cap. Therefore, I commenced my efforts. I submitted my ADA accommodation request, complete with all records, copying the committee, the zoning authority, and the county supervisor for effect. Nothing. Rather, they intensified their campaign. Penalties for waste containers remaining 17 minutes post-collection. Citations for unusual apparatus in the garden, which were foam rollers for Daniel's rehabilitation. Brenda's lackeys commenced gauging our lawn with bright measuring tape precisely at 8 a.m. Consequently, I began recording every incident. We mounted cameras, subtly, naturally. Grant configured the video stream to a protected circuit, featuring redundant storage both locally and remotely. He skillfully concealed one sensor within a bird feeder, because that's just his nature. Next were their monitoring devices, the ones they mounted. I identified one position beneath the neighborhood entrance, a second on a lamppost, aimed not at the road, but directly at our home. I contacted the municipality. They possessed no permits. That is, when I realized we weren't merely being penalized. We were under observation. I traced a financial trail. Discovered Holloway Civic Enforcement LLC, the entity Brenda utilized for her fraudulent citations, was not a legitimate regulatory body. It was a personal enterprise belonging to her spouse, lacking proper licensing and bonding. In essence, a private militia in uniform coats. A grin formed. I now possess leverage. Our approach was gradual. We disseminated footage of Brenda instructing her committee, we must apply more pressure, increase their discomfort. They will break. It was shared without attribution. The local message board erupted. Instantly, neighbors who had remained quiet began to murmur, then to inquire, then to shout. Chuck, the committee's financial officer, possessing the fortitude of damp pasta, stepped down. Brenda attempted damage control, alleging the recording was altered. That's when we submitted the IRS notification, a discreet, simple inquiry regarding her sham enforcement firm questionable accounts. No allegations, merely a polite request to look. Then I located it, within the Sycamore County Land Registry, deep in a pile of 1972 easement records. A paper, age-stained, fragile, and certified. A binding agreement. A lawful exclusion bestowed upon parcels surrounding the former Willow tributary, currently Whispering Ridge, stipulating that no homeowners association, current or forthcoming, held authority to impose governance on that territory, mine included. Simply put, every penalty, every summons, every intimidation tactic since my arrival was legally baseless. I withheld this from Brenda immediately. I bided my time, allowed her to trigger each snare we had arranged. Let her issue a final citation. It arrived as a summary eviction warning, presented by 3 men in counterfeit attire, holding notepads and wearing body cameras that were, comically, deactivated. I answered the door. Grant moved behind me, serene and imposing. Credentials, he demanded. The highest one faltered. We provided oral warning. Negative, Grant interjected. You are private agents mimicking authorities. That constitutes a felony under Title 18. You are being filmed from 5 perspectives. You may depart immediately, or I will hold you. They departed. 1 fled. The rest trailed behind. The following morning, I distributed the 1972 agreement to all homeowners. Simple terms. No jargon. Only, they possess no jurisdiction. You were deceived. I then entered the urgent home meeting binder convened to rescue the situation. I took a front seat. All eyes were on me. I placed the agreement down. This property was never under your jurisdiction, I announced. You distributed counterfeit penalties, infringed upon housing regulations, and misused your office. Next came the documentation, monetary connections between Brenda and her sham enforcers, schedules, transactions, video evidence, and lastly, a formal warning of imminent legal action, federal, if required. Chuck rose. I have stepped down, he stated, followed by another and another. Brenda remained isolated. She attempted to talk. Faltered. I would abdicate the presidency of the Whispering Ridge Homeowners Association. The applause in the room was loud and genuine. 7 days later, Grant was chosen as temporary president. He had no desire for the role, claimed he avoided politics. But Daniel, quiet, composed Daniel, met his gaze directly and stated, "You defended me when I had no one else." So, he accepted. Today, the matching jackets are gone, as are the bogus penalties. The letterbox is flat black once more. The storm coverings are reinstalled. Our lawn is flourishing, untamed and verdant, as if breathing deeply after a long duration. Exactly in the center of the shrubbery, where Brenda's monitoring device was situated, I installed a small marker. It says, "Residents shielded by heritage and statute." Every twilight, I relax on the veranda, coffee mugging grass, my son at my side, Grant observing, no longer from apprehension, but from routine and tranquility. Tranquility at last feels deserved. So, inform me, was it improper to challenge them using their own regulations? Was Grant excessively assertive? Was Brenda merely fulfilling her duties, or intoxicated by authority? Share your thoughts below, because around here, the conflict is concluded, but the dialogue is only just beginning.